Another month has come and gone, and it is time again, once again, for Choose Our Own Adventure. For all you Patreon people, we thank you, the ones that are left anyways, for the donation that you keep giving us. If you're listening to this, obviously you're at the $7 tier. So thanks for being good patrons. And then no need to talk about what the show is. You already know what it is. So let's get the ball rolling. We have our usual cast of characters with us today. So let's go around the horn. Miss Leslie Ellsworth, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Martin, how art thou?
Just fantastic.
All right, coming in way too hot to begin with. That's okay.
You gotta tone it down, be more chill.
All right.
And then we have bringing up the rear a mere few minutes ago is Mr. Jermon Jackson. How are you doing?
I don't even know what day it is anymore. I don't have any concept of time.
Obviously, we had to wait about 15 minutes for you to get in here.
I'm getting so desperate for entertainment now. I'm about to go into a sketchy corner of my house and roll dice. It's getting rough, man. I'm losing it.
It sounds like it, man. It sounds like it. So yeah. All right. But Brian, how are you handling the continuing isolation?
I think I reached my breaking point last week, and I've come out on the other end a new man. I just kind of ran with the insanity, and as long as you don't have to see anything beyond the walls of the room that I'm currently in, like you can't see the words scrawled in blood in my living room, things like that, things seem perfectly normal. Yeah.
And what about you, Leslie? How are you maintaining throughout all this?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a few days where I've felt a bit cabin feverish, but when that getting out and running to the pharmacy or running to the grocery store, wear a mask, have hand wipes and hand sanitizer and stuff. Do that maybe once a week or two, and then just driving around and not actually getting out or going anywhere. When I really need to get out, that helps.
I've forgotten how to drive and travel places. I went to the liquor store this weekend. It's basically the only place I've driven repeatedly since this whole thing started.
Yep.
And I got about halfway there and I realized I had left my face mask at home. So I turned around and came back and got my face mask. Then I drove all the way there, got in line at the liquor store and realized I didn't even bring my wallet with me.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. It wasn't meant to be.
No, I came back. I went home and came back, but I've just forgotten things like wallets and things like I just don't understand what going outside is like anymore. So it's an interesting time.
Boy, what a time to be alive.
How are you holding up, Sir Seed?
Yeah, I'm doing. I'm handling. I'm maintaining. I'm just ready to mingle again. That's what I miss more than anything else, is just mingling with people that I know and BS and all that kind of good stuff. So it's an all around shitty situation. But with that being said, let's get into the topics for this month's Choose Our Own Adventure. We're going to kick it off.
I hate to ask this question. Did anybody die that we need to talk about? Because I feel like
who did die?
Everybody died.
Yeah,
everybody died. And the Thirsty Nomad is also.
Thirsty Nomad, as of tomorrow, at the day of this recording, today, if you're listening to this, the day it goes up, it is its last day. I will be at this event, the last day event tomorrow, to drink shamelessly and without remorse. And then, and then Saturday is the kind of going away party for the BIP members, quote unquote, the Mug Club, which I will do much more imbibing of alcohol there as well. So yeah, there have been a couple of deaths. I know there's a writer that passed not too long ago. Can't remember his name, unfortunately. We had that the director. She passed last week.
Mark Maron's girlfriend, yeah.
Yes, Mark Maron's girlfriend as well. Those are the only two that pop up the top of my head, and of course, the location that is 4402 Stuart Andrew Boulevard, Thirsty Nomad. Although, to look on the bright side of things, I am now the proud owner of the candy bowl dish that was at Thirsty Nomad.
That's not bad.
You know what?
Silver linings.
Jermon's like, did it come with the candy?
did they throw
It was empty when I got it. I went and bought a bag of Reese's immediately, and now it is what is inhabiting the candy bowl.
That's what you should do is with a candy bowl. Put candy in it.
You know what? Wise words from Jermon Jackson.
Mr. Fortune Cookie over here.
Let's get started with the first
A candy
question.
bowl without candy is merely a bowl.
First topic comes from Evan Peanut Butter. Evan Peanut Butter says, in honor of Mother's Day this month, which a couple weeks back, a couple Sundays ago, I read this wrong. Who was the best movie mom? His, strangely enough, is from Neon Genesis Evangelion, Ava Unit 01. He says
Jesus.
It's the best movie mom.
Jesus, Ev.
Shout out to Peanut Butter for an Evangelion reference.
Yeah, first of all, spoilers. Second of all, god damn.
Gotta love that show.
Oh.
So let's start with you, Mr. Martin. Who you got?
I'm picking Ellen Ripley in Aliens as my favorite movie mom. So Ellen Ripley, of course, wakes up 80 years later in Aliens, I think, roughly 80 years later.
Yeah.
And her family is gone, and she finds this new chance at motherhood in young Newt on LV-426, and it's magic. It's absolute magic that the two of them share, up until the point where she calls the alien queen a bitch at the end of the movie, and is just super territorial uber mom. I mean, I think we all want a mother like Ellen Ripley. Who will fight for us with a flamethrower and a rail gun.
And a rail gun.
My runner-up, though, is Roger Thornhill's mother in the Alfred Hitchcock movie North by Northwest.
That bitch
is like Roger Thornhill, played by Cary Grant, is such a fucking mama's boy in this movie, and he keeps talking about his mother and how everything in his life revolves around his mother. He's a swinging hot bachelor, gets swept up into this web of lies and deceit, but his mother is always the center of his universe. And I think it's hilarious. It just never stops being funny.
They ranked his silver suit that he wears in that movie as like the #1 best movie suit that a man has worn in film. Is that silver white shirt, I think dark blue tie that he rocks throughout the vast majority of it.
I can't necessarily disagree with this. I think that James Bond's suit in Skyfall might be up there at this point, but I mean, Thornhill's suit is his choice.
Yeah, it's the exact same suit that or same set that Jimmy Fallon wore for his first hosting the Tonight Show. Leslie, what do you have as the best movie mother?
I went with Sarah Connor because she is a fucking badass, and she prepares her kid for the war, for the apocalypse that she knows is coming, even though everybody thinks she's crazy. And it's a damn good thing that she did. So yeah.
Sarah Connor is the mom that answers the question, what if your mom was just a giant bicep?
You will learn a lot of shit. You will live a prepping life.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
James Cameron, man, he is something for creating strong women, female characters.
Yeah, we are 2 for 2 on James Cameron. Sarah Connor is that business. Like she's okay in Terminator, but then when Terminator 2 hits, she's just all sleek muscle and not fucking around with anybody's nonsense. Did any of us see Terminator Dark Fate?
No.
Is that the newest one?
Yeah.
I keep getting it confused with the last X-Men movie.
It's all dark these days.
Yeah.
Okay, then right on. I'll go next. And mine is Michael Keaton for his performance in Mr. Mom.
Oh,
I'm kidding. Mine is
Son of a bitch.
Mine is Forrest Gump's mother.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Played by Sally Field. She's just full of light and warmth and patience and understanding. I think as far as the portrayal of mothers goes on films, like, she does no wrong in that movie. She's the perfect mom, perfect to raise him right, especially when, we don't ever see or hear, if I remember correctly, anything about Forrest's dad. So she was pretty much going this alone the whole time, and she held it all the way down. And when she gets, I think it was cancer, maybe, that takes her out the game. And like the 3/4 of the way through the movie, man, that shit hurt me the first time I saw that movie. Because they've done a good job establishing her as a great mother.
Yeah. Nice pull.
She did what she had to do for Forrest too.
Yeah, she did what she had to do. I mean that makes it sound like she was looking in the streets. So
Well, she almost was.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Jackson.
I had it's funny because thinking about this question, because the thing always goes to you think about some of the worst moms in movies and things of that nature, but you don't, like, nobody ever asks who's the best moms. Usually it's always the worst. But I had initially thought Sarah Connor, that was a pretty good pick, but I'm gonna go with the bride from Kill Bill.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's dedication.
Okay.
Pretty good mom.
She was the ultimate badass, and, like, granted, she did not find out she was, that her child survived until later on. But if of course, going from volume 2, her finding out she was pregnant was what sent her on this path to try to do the right thing by her child. Yeah.
That's the moment she found out she was pregnant, everything changed.
Yeah, and you just stay out of her way. Just that's all you did.
Yeah, Bill would have been best served just letting that one go.
Yeah.
But then again, it was also his baby.
I feel like from this we learned that none of our mothers were hard enough. like all I really wanted was a mom who would cut a bitch.
Well then,
For Daryl.
my mom might be inclined to do that though. I'm not gonna.
We've heard about like holidays at your family's house.
Yeah, I know she keeps a pistol. So.
All right on. Let's move on to the next bit of business. This comes from Brad, the former Brad of Thirsty Nomad fame. And he says, what is your ideal Star Wars TV series that hasn't been made? Characters, plot, time frame. He says Thrawn, which, it's Thrawn. Side note, someone in Paprika, or maybe he just was on their personal page on Facebook, said they're talking about people of color in Star Wars and how the bad guys are always just like straight white dudes, and who would they cast if a Thrawn is a person of color? To which I say Chiwetel Ejiofor is the perfect Thrawn for you of color. Anyway,
I can get behind that.
Yeah. I'll kick this one off. The Mandalorian kind of stole my shine because what I wanted was a bounty hunter series. That I thought would have been maybe a serialized show of just bounty hunters always at each other's throats trying to get whatever that week's bounty is or something of that nature. But we've already seen a good number of bounty hunters and Mandalorians. So that would be kind of retreading old ground. Instead, I want to do a smugglers series set during the original trilogy as seen through the eyes of expanded universe or Star Wars legends, whatever you want to call them, Talon Card.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a Han Solo quote about Talon Card. I think that sums him up perfectly. It said, you can't even call your wife on a comm link without Talon Card hearing about it. And that's the shit that I want to see all throughout season 1, of him shucking and jiving and narrowly escaping the Empire and feuding with Jabba and Alden Ehrenreich popping up as Solo from time to time. Mm-hmm. And then in season 2, what happened if all his resources are stripped away and how does he manage to do his business without? So that's the kind of shit that I want to see.
I was afraid you were going to say Dash Rendar.
He's one episode of whatever show he pops up on.
Yeah.
What are you going to go with there, Jermon?
I'm going to go with The Force Unleashed. The video game series that came out some years back with Star Killer and all that stuff, set between episodes 3 and 4. It followed basically Vader's secret apprentice, Star Killer, who he was sending out to wipe out, the remaining Jedi and what have you. And basically, at some point, of course, he has this change of heart and, becomes a good guy and everything. And I love the video game. I love like a lot of the visuals in that game, especially seeing Star Killer literally pull down a Star Destroyer with the Force. But I kind of like that whole cat and mouse between him and Vader and the Emperor, and is really like Vader was, sent him out to kill all the other, the remaining Jedi, but he was secretly going to use him to help overthrow the Emperor also. So you definitely have that going on through a television series and kind of some of that back and forth.
All right, I can get down with that.
And Sam Witwer, I mean, they modeled him, they modeled Star Killer right after him. So, I mean, that would be perfect casting right there.
Boom, done and done. And get
Sam Witwer. Sam Witwer will be involved in whatever one of these shows.
Oh, yeah, somehow, some way.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. If there's a star and a war in it, Witwer will be there for you. Leslie, what you got?
So I went with Michael Stackpole's X-Wing Rogue Squadron series. Features Wedge Antilles, Corran Horn, Mirax Tarek, and it's set just after A New Hope. And they are fighting various Imperial warlords, and I would focus it on their time trying to take over Coruscant. I would have them dive into the espionage and spy aspect of it, as well as the piloting and the fighting aspect of it. I think it would be awesome.
Right on. I can get down with that. And Mr. Martin.
Well, it used to be that I felt like the most untapped era of Star Wars was the 3-year span between A New Hope and Empire. And I was like, why? Like when Clone Wars started, I was like, why are they telling this story instead of doing a series about Luke and Han and Leia in the 3 years in between those two movies? That seems like money in the bank. The Marvel Comics series kind of filled in a lot of that now, and I don't know that it, one, is likely, or two, has as much potential anymore. And one of the things that I am upset about the most with the sequel trilogy is that there is no gap in those movies wide enough to tell stories like that. There's no gap between Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and the gap between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker seems to be about 8 months. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a lot of time to me. So I think, and Mandalorian has tapped into this, but the period after Jedi and before Force Awakens is probably the most, has the most potential. And really what I would like to see is a Clone Wars style animated show about Luke and Han and Leia following Jedi and the establishment of the New Republic. That's kind of what I would like to see. Ending with Kylo Ren laying waste to Luke's Jedi temple.
Is Star Wars Rebels set between that time?
No, Rebels is set between Sith and A New Hope.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically right after Clone Wars.
Okay. I thought there was something that...
There are things that fill in that gap, like the Aftermath series of books, which were all right. And Mandalorian is set in that time period.
Yeah.
But something that focuses on our lead characters directly, I'd kind of like to see.
All right, right on. I can get down with that. Very nice. Very nicely done. Shannon, one half of the Shannon and Scott combo, the better looking half. She says, this pandemic sucks. Correct. Share with us all a movie or show or comic book or song that never fails to lift you out of a funk. Leslie, what never fails to lift you out of a funk? And you cannot use Uptown Funk.
Fine. Music-wise, I have to go with either Against Me or specifically their Searching for a Former Clarity or New Wave albums. And the Haunted album by Poe. Those usually put me in a fantastic mood. If I need something that I think's gonna last a little bit longer than an album, BBC's Merlin always puts me in a good mood.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I saw that look.
Brian, what never fails to lift you out of a funk?
I came up with an option for all of these, and I've talked about most of them previously. So the thing I'm going to go with is the comic book that never stops being amusing to me and makes me just happy. And that is the 11th issue of Joe Kelly's Deadpool series from the 90s.
Okay.
Which was a giant-sized issue in which Deadpool travels back in time into an issue of Amazing Spider-Man and finds himself being mistaken for Spider-Man and also poses as Peter Parker using his image inducer. And the art, panel for panel, page for page, mirrors that Amazing Spider-Man issue. It's just that now it's all been, the dialogue is all changed out because Deadpool's Peter Parker.
Nice.
And every scene with Spider-Man in it is now Deadpool. And he's fighting Kraven the Hunter. It is amazing. And Blind Al, Deadpool's elderly woman roommate, also travels back in time with him. And when they arrive, they knock Aunt May unconscious, like accidentally. So Blind Al stands in as Aunt May. And it's just amazing. It's just absolutely brilliant. And the Watcher, the framing device in the issue, is the Watcher desperately trying to reestablish the time stream amidst all of these events, and he's just like, I can't fucking believe this is happening. It is such an amazingly funny comic book, even like 20 years later. It's so great.
Very nice, very nice. As for myself, I something else or something I have also mentioned quite often, more on the cinnamon than anywhere else. But my go-to funk lifter is and always will be Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 11. It is just light. It is funny. It is fun. It is whimsical. It is a breezy movie. Everyone's having a blast in that film, and you can tell they're having a blast in that movie. So mine, and there's no need to expound on it. We've all seen Ocean's 11. It's Ocean's 11. Jermon, what you got?
Musically, I usually, like, if I need something kind of upbeat to lift me up, Pharrell Williams. Specifically his album, that last album he did, Girl, which has Happy and, some of his other hits on there.
Yeah.
But if you can't come out of that feeling good, you just don't have a soul.
The fault is with you.
Yes. And movie wise, I usually like of course like a good comedy to lift my spirits. So Soul Men is the movie I usually go to. So Bernie Mac and Sam Jackson. That movie is, it is just raunchy. It is hilarious. Like, there's one scene with them two just alone, just going back and forth. You will probably laugh the entire 5 minutes.
Okay.
But it's basically about what happens, like, because they were part of a soul group, an old, like, Motown soul singing group. And it's basically what happens to the other guys after the group breaks up.
Ah, okay. So if you're not the Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
Then what happens to the other guys?
Like if Smokey Robinson left the Miracles, what happened to the damn Miracles afterwards? Basically.
Well, we know Percy went out on his own. We know that much. Okay, cool. The next question comes from Scott Self, the other half of the Scott and Shannon combination. He said, "Thank Thormac for this one. Before trying to crush everyone in the Republic, Count Dooku and Grand Moff Tarkin had other personas in horror. Dracula, Victor, Frankenstein, the Monster, Van Helsing, The Mummy, The Gorgon. What pre-1970 horror film, in your opinion, epitomizes classic horror? Scott's or Thormax, I'm not sure which, because they've been watching all the old school ones. The Horror of Dracula, 1958. It's got Peter Cushing. It's got Christopher Lee, Michael Gough, who some of you might know as Alfred from all the old Batman films. There's a lot of people that's in that movie. My choice.
How old is Cormac? Can I ask that question? I thought he was a child.
He is. He is. Yeah. What is this? 2020. So he's rounding like. Let me think. Let me do the math here. 11.
And he's steeped in horror already. Scott,
Wow.
hats off to you.
Yeah, man. Scott and Shannon might be the dopest parenting combo that I know of. They do good work there. I'll go first. Though there's only one that came to my mind, and that is easily 1935's Bride of Frankenstein.
You took mine.
I kind of figured I did.
That's the answer.
That's why I went first. It's one of the greatest sequels in cinematic history. A lot of people say that. It picks up immediately after the events of Frankenstein. Boris Karloff's back. You get Elsa Lanchester as both Mary Shelley and the Bride of Frankenstein. The iconic fucking hair, all that shit. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So you can't go wrong. You got anything else to add on to that there, Brian?
Yeah, just that a lot. I rewatched this last Halloween, I think, and just the look of the movie it's so dynamic. And you watch Frankenstein, like the original movie, directed by James Whale, and it's iconic. There's a lot of iconic imagery in it. You put in Bride of Frankenstein, and it's like the shit just went off the rails in this movie. Like from the framing device with Percy Shelley and Mary Shelley, and the dynamic camera work, particularly in the Awakening of the Bride sequence. It's such a visually arresting movie. But one of the things I love the most about it is the villain, Dr. Pretorius.
Yeah, Pretorius is a wild dude.
Pretorius, there is a point in this movie where Pretorius sits down in a fucking crypt and just starts drinking goddamn wine. It's like his dinner he's having in a crypt. And the monster comes in and he's like, "Oh, would you like to join me?" And it's just, holy shit, what am I watching? It is 1935, people. We're not supposed to be watching shit like this. It's crazy. I love it.
One of the things when they remember back like 2 or 3 years ago, Universal had their schemes and campaigns for the dark universe that never went anywhere after the Mummy bombed. But the one thing that made perfect fucking sense was their casting of Angelina Jolie as Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I heard that, I was like, yeah, all right, yeah. It was either her or Eva Green, and you got the more apt person. And that's to me is the tragedy of the dark universe. We never got to see Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein. Leslie,
her reaction when she sees the monster, it's like, I can relate. I get it, guys.
Leslie, what you got?
So I realized that I am not very well versed in classic horror. I was looking things up, and most of the things I was thinking of was 70s horror. With that being said, I have to go with the 1931 Dracula. If you say classic horror, I think Dracula. And I was able to find it on YouTube and got to watch some of that.
Oh, right on.
But yeah. Sorry, I don't have much more.
Well, now it knows on YouTube. We're gonna check this out because
Bela Lugosi is like the iconic Dracula, though. I mean, like for a long time he was. I guess like maybe Gary Oldman kind of. I mean, an iconic form of that character. But yes. I mean, when you think Dracula, whether you know it or not, you're thinking of Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
The one thing that I lament is the fact that the Dark Universe should have been doing their own Avenger-style joint just from the villain side and one giant team up to a reboot of Monster Squad.
Oh man,
that's
There
what
you
I
go.
wanted. Yeah, but that's not what we got. Actually, none of it is what we got. Mr. Jackson, what you got for this?
Pretty much almost jack shit, basically. My
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I realized upon seeing this question, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a horror movie pre-1970.
Hey,
Yeah.
somebody needs to be watching Sven Gulli on MeTV.
I remember some years back when I actually used to work in a comic store. One of the employees there, she was heavy into the classic horror, and like she would go on and on about Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney, all that good stuff. So I mean, of course, you think of classic horror. It's obviously the Universal monsters. How did they get a hold of all that stuff? By the way, it's like.
No one else was going for it. And Universal's
Yeah.
like, shit, the Invisible Man is that's cheap property. Let's go ahead and buy that up.
Yeah.
Wolfman, keep it
Good
in
investment. That was a good investment on their end.
And they beat the shit out of those characters for years, and then it just kind of died down for a while.
Yeah, it's like you get Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein. You get Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I think you got Frankenstein meets the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island at one point.
They beat the shit out of this guy, and every once in a while they pop up with something. You get like a Dracula 2000, or that a Hollow Man, or that Benicio del Toro Wolfman joint, or Van Helsing. Yeah, they're just
Benicio del Toro played the Wolfman in that movie, right? He was the Wolfman.
Yeah,
he was also
Anthony Hopkins was like the dude trying to keep him calm, right?
You know that he also played like the dog-faced boy in Big Top Pee-wee?
It all makes sense.
I literally just made that connection. I was like, talk about getting typecast as a bittersweet man.
All right, then. Let's keep it moving, man. Manny Manfredonia, our resident Stargate expert. I don't know if we need one, but we have one. It says, does the benefit of bringing in multiple high-profile directors to direct individual episodes of a single season television outweigh the risk of incoherence both visually and with the storytelling overall? I'll start off. No, is the answer to that question. No, it doesn't. It's worked in most instances I can think of. Spielberg directed the first episode of Falling Skies. Scorsese directed the first 1 or 2 episodes of Boardwalk Empire. I think JJ did the first Lost. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just makes sense because no TV show just has one director doing everything anyways. All TV shows have multiple directors coming in and out. They just kickstarted with these high profile dudes.
Right. Like
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Like, I was gonna say, as long as you can keep, because I mean, I would say it depends on the showrunner. Like, if you can keep a consistent tone throughout the series, then you should have no problem.
That's pretty much where I landed on it too. If you have a strong story and strong characters, talented actors, I think they will be able to handle your showrunners, your writers will be able to handle moving with those different directorial styles. But if you have a mediocre show, no, not likely. That's not going to help. It's just going to make a mess.
Yeah, competent showrunner is necessary. If you guys haven't watched it yet, the Disney Plus series Gallery is an 8-part documentary about the making of The Mandalorian, and a lot of those episodes are just director roundtables with like the entire assembled set of directors who have. I mean, if you've looked into it, they all have a very sort of eclectic backlog of work. So it's interesting to see them all talking about Star Wars and what their sort of entry point into Star Wars was. Because I don't think any of us would watch The Mandalorian and feel like, with the exception of one episode, I think any of them stood out like a sore thumb. Right. And that's, I think that's a testament to Favreau and just being able to run a tight ship, but give everybody the creative freedom to be themselves. Because I'm watching this show, and as Taika Waititi talks about the episode he directed, it's like, you know what? There was a lot more funny parts in that episode, or
Yeah.
things like that. That they were still able to have room to breathe, but without losing their sense of identity as a director, but still, adhering to the principles of this overall narrative or series. So,
Good call.
Yeah, there's certain series that you watch, like case in point, the CW DC stuff, where you've seen like episodes that Kevin Smith has done. Like, granted, it's still in the style of said series, but you can see some of his trademarks in there.
like Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, they'll cameo. His daughter will probably be in the episode, something like that, or
Yeah, but
Alright.
I had that written down, Jermon. Actually, I had the Kevin Smith episodes of, like, he did episodes of The Flash and Supergirl.
yeah.
And yeah, it fits in overall, but you can still tell, well, somebody else came in here and did this, right?
Right.
And if you know it's Kevin Smith, it's like, this was definitely fucking Kevin Smith, because Jason Mewes is like 40% of this episode.
Yeah.
So at some point, does Supergirl say "snooch to the nooch" and then fly away? That's what I'm trying to. It might actually get me to watch one of those damn shows.
It's like my entry point into what was it? CSI was the Quentin Tarantino directed episode.
Yes.
That's right.
So good.
Yes, it was.
And it was just an hour of trying to figure out what woman's feet is this, and that's just the whole episode is a disembodied foot, and they try to figure out who it belongs to.
I believe that was the one. It was the one where one of the members were like buried alive, and
Oh,
they had
yeah.
to find him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like Nick was
Nick,
buried
that's
alive?
his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Wow,
buried
Jesus.
alive.
I have not seen CSI in a very long time, guys. I just want to get that out there.
I remember reading an interview with Tarantino about it, and the one thing that sticks out is that during that episode they have the character's parents come on because they don't know where he is, but they have like a video feed to him. They can talk to him, and he was like, I made sure that I put a nickname in there for his dad to call him so that I could have that one piece of lore that could make it throughout the rest of the show without,
That's
being
great.
too intrusive or anything, but it was just a nice little
That's all not
drop in. Yeah.
okay. Right
Oh,
on.
sneaky bastard.
That sneaky bastard. All right, up next we got Duquan Swint, aka C 2.0. He said, your favorite book series and why, or your favorite video game and why. Brian, we'll kickstart this one off.
Well, I'll go with my favorite video game series and why. First of all, I don't like book series. I don't like committing to things.
You're married, sir.
I like things that have a beginning and an ending, and that's it, and are roughly 390 pages in length. That being said, I am almost done with Dune,
Yay!
or Dunk, as
Stop with
common
this.
parlance is.
Stop with this.
And I am very much enjoying that. But the video game, Legend of Zelda, the Legend of Zelda series has always been and probably always will be my go-to. It doesn't matter how many installments of this shit come out. It doesn't matter. Legend of Zelda is essentially like the Taco Bell menu of video games. Like the same 7 ingredients that get thrown together in new and unique ways. And I'm in for it every single time. Usually there's some sort of gameplay kind of advancement made, or something new and quirky there. And that's how they sort of perpetuate this series. But God, if it's not entertaining and fun, and the action is tight, and the puzzles are good, and even at its most frustrating, Water Temple in Ocarina of Time, the series is still my absolute favorite and my go-to. Like, I don't see anything ever taking its place as my number one video game series.
Leslie.
Okay, so I went with my favorite book series. and I have a couple caveats. I can see you preparing to hear this, Daryl. So when it comes to writing and let's see, I'll just break it down. I have 3. Okay, A Song of Ice and Fire for the gritty realness of it and the political intrigue. Lord of the Rings for the high fantasy. Wheel of Time for the imperfect story that I measure my own personal growth against. I read it, listen to it once every year or 2, sometimes more, sometimes less. And each time, initially, it was the first book series, epic series that I found on my own. So that's part of it. I immediately loved a couple of the characters and really just felt seen by those characters. And as I've gotten older, my opinions have changed. I see many, many more flaws in the characters themselves, more flaws in the writing. But it also, kind of works to mirror and self-reflect and go, I used to really like this character, but now I'm seeing these things and these things and these actions. And it's very interesting for me that way.
Jermon.
My favorite video game series, I actually had to think about that a while, because there's a lot of different games that I've been into over the years, but I think without a question, like Grand Theft Auto, that series has been just tops, like top to bottom. Like they have not made a bad game yet. And I mean, it shows they take their time between each instinct. You think about it, like we got Grand Theft Auto 4 in 2008. We didn't get 5 until like 2013. They still haven't made another one since then.
Huh.
Like they never even made one for the current generation of video game systems. It was just basically a port over of, the last generation. Like 6 is still upcoming. We don't even know when that's going to drop. And it's probably going to be the most amazing game I've ever seen in my life. Like
some of the like the outside of the like 1 through 4 or 5, like Chinatown Wars.
Yeah.
That's a great game.
There is so much. Yeah, there was like so much you can do in that game. Like, you can go, of course, go through the missions. You don't even have to follow a particular path and going through all this stuff. You can dick around for a bit, just shooting up stuff, doing whatever. And I mean, it just whatever play style you have, you can do it.
All right, right on. For me, I also went with video game series, and there's only one in my head, as much as the one is Zelda for you, Brian, and Grand Theft Auto for you, Jermon. It can only be Metal Gear Solid.
Oh.
And it's this the lore that surrounds it, the story that gets built up even more with each subsequent game. When you realize that there's prequels, and this Naked Snake is the guy who ends up being the big boss that you're fighting in the first game. It was the first game that felt like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
With all the cutscenes and graphics aside. It came out in 1999. The Solid series, the original Nintendo had just the Metal Gear game, but the Metal Gear Solids, it just like that's one of the few times in games where like a cutscene pops on, you're just like, ugh, I just want to go back to playing the game. Nah, when the cutscene comes off of Metal Gear, it's put the controller down and just enjoy the little 3 or 4 minute movie that you're about to get.
I think that every video game player probably remembers where they were and can imagine the entire environment the first time they got to Psycho Mantis.
Yes.
And that shit with the memory card happened. Like, it's because it's just like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, he's reading your memory card to tell the other games you've played, right? Just wild stuff. I love how tight that first game is.
I never would have thought, beyond my, if I had not talked to my friend, I would still be at that level, because I never would have thought to just take it out and put it in the other controller. and then he can't read your mind. And that's just, who thinks of that when programming a video game?
A crazy person.
Yeah, shout out to Hideo Kojima, the crazy person
nuts.
extraordinaire. Back Paprika season 11, 12, something like that. I gave a whole bunch of suggestions on shit to check out on YouTube, and one of the things I suggested was there's people who have done just whole walkthroughs and strung together all the cutscenes from Metal Gear joints, and you can find them there like 4 hours long or 7 hours long. That's some of the most perfect shit to check out if you're quarantined right now and just we don't have to worry about the frustrations of playing the game. If you just want to sit down and enjoy it, you can sit down and enjoy these beautiful games that are Metal Gear Solid. Right on. And our penultimate, well, no, we got 2 more questions. Ryan Elliott, I think we can get through this fairly easily. He said, top 2, bottom 3 Nick Cage movies. German, what is your go-tos for these?
You know, it's funny because, like, in researching this question, I realized I hadn't seen as many Nick Cage movies as I thought I'd have.
Same.
There's a lot of
wild,
Nick Cage. Busy man.
You know, he's been in so many damn movies. And it's like, you figure, yeah, I've seen about 20 or 30 of them. Like, no. But I'm going to go with Face Off, man. Face Off was that business, man. That was kind of in my John Woo phase when he first, came over here to America to do films and, of varying quality, of course. But Face Off, seeing him and Travolta go at it, man, was just nuts. Just absolutely nuts.
What about your number 2 for top 2?
My number 2 is a slight cheat, but I'm going to go Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I considered that.
Yeah,
even that brief amount of time that he was in there, like he definitely stood out amongst all those other characters.
I thought about it because I was like, that's not a Nick Cage movie. That's a movie where he just pops up in. So that's why it didn't make my list.
I have an alternate though. I can go with Lord of War also. That was actually a really good movie. Like seeing Nick Cage actually do some acting was something else.
And what about your bottom 3? Do you have any bottoms?
Yes, I do. I'm going to go with Drive Angry. Now, mind you, Drive Angry, I love that movie, but it is just off the rails ridiculous or whatever. It's kind of one of those so bad is good movies, like in the vein of, say, like a Shoot 'em Up or something like that Clive Owen movie.
Mm-hmm. But
it just, like, it takes a detour, like, quick. And I was like, holy shit, what is happening here? Yeah. And my other 2 would have to be the Ghost Rider movies, both of them. Now, mind you, I like the second one better than the first one because, like, I think at least the second one, they got the tone better. Like, with the guys from Crank directing it, I think they realized, hey, we're dealing with Nick Cage here. Let's kind of play to his strengths. Let's just balls to the wall. Let's just do it,
Right on. A little side note to that, I had a Zoom call the other week with a fellow about a little bit of business, and I knew he was a writer. Talking to him about a couple of different things and things he might be able to do to help me out with some stuff. And what I did not realize until after he briefly mentioned it, talking about something else, it's one of the writers of Drive Angry is who I was Zooming and talking to the other week. Yeah. I was like, oh, shit, the Nick Cage joint. You were right. Nobody saw it. Leslie, what's your top 2 bottom 3s?
I went with Gone in 60 Seconds for my number 1. Always just a fun film. I couldn't decide for my second one between Con Air or 8mm. I have not seen any of his films in a long time, but I remember, I feel like I need to give this caveat. I did not always have the greatest taste in film. I was not always quite so discerning. So, I remember being impressed with him in a dramatic role in 8mm. Going with my bottom 3, one that I just watched the other night, Mom and Dad. Not great. Really not great. It's on Hulu if you want to check it out.
I won't. I won't.
So a movie that might have Jermon's problem. I went with Kick-Ass. I like the movie. Don't like Nick Cage in the movie at all.
Big Daddy.
I just no. And then for my last one, I went with Snake Eyes. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember his ridiculous, over-the-top attitude in Suits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's awful in Snake Eyes.
Okay. Like I remember it being about some sort of conspiracy, and yeah, it was just not great.
Sad thing is, Snake Eyes 2 probably just came out today.
Probably.
Right on. Those are some good pulls. Those are pretty good picks. I will agree with your Gone in 60 Seconds, as it is one of my top two. And my other top two, which I am ashamed that Jermon did not have, although Brian, you might, was, of course, The Rock.
Oh, man.
I considered that.
It is in my top three, but I figured somebody would get to it before I did.
Yeah, The Rock is that business. It's the last of the great Connery. I mean, Find Your Forrester dramatically is good, but as far as like just peak Connery, it's like The Rock and Entrapment. That's what in my mind, that's how Connery's career ends. And that's Nick Cage slowly becoming the Nick Cage that we know. It is, I think a lot of people forget that's Michael Bay before he goes super Bay. Ed Harris, is that the bad guy?
Ed Harris was the villain,
Yeah, man, there's so much good shit about that. And
was Tony Todd in that?
That's a good call, sir.
I think he was one of the
one of the soldiers.
Yeah,
that was helping him out. Oh, I think you might be right, sir. I think you might be right. I'm going to look that up.
Look, don't do what I did and search for The Rock on Google, okay? Because that will not yield the results you're looking for.
It's not going
to be. Add movie to that. The Rock movie.
Tony Todd, John C. McGinley is in there. Michael Biehn is in there. William Forsythe is in there.
Yeah, it was stacked.
It was stacked. Claire Forlani is in there. Philip Baker Hall. Stuart Wilson. So this movie is pretty stacked. And for my bottom three picks, I had everything from 2013 to 2017. is my bottom three picks. Brian,
DVD years.
Yes. What do you have, Mr. Martin?
First of all, I feel like this question is unfairly stacked because I think that Nicolas Cage has made a lot of very good movies. I think he gets a bad rap because the bad movies are really, really bad.
Yes.
But the good movies we've mentioned, I don't think anybody's really repeated anything so far, right? I think we've all just had
Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds, the only repeat.
Yeah.
I would not have had that in my top three. So my top two are Adaptation.
Okay.
Spike Jonze movie where Nicolas Cage plays Charlie Kaufman and his fictional brother. And Charlie Kaufman struggling with writing a screenplay adaptation of a book called The Orchid Thief. And his brother's like, I'm going to be a screenwriter too. And he writes this stupid, mindless action flick called The Three and finds all the success. And he does it so effortlessly. And Charlie Kaufman's sitting there laboring over a screenplay adaptation of this book that does not beget an adaptation. But the funny thing is the movie adaptation is itself the adaptation Charlie Kaufman is trying to write the entire movie. It's hilarious. It's such a great movie. And he is so good in it in the dual role as Charlie Kaufman and his brother. But the number one movie is Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, directed by Werner Herzog. That I don't think anybody has seen, but no, people have seen it. It came out, I don't know, like 2009, 2010 maybe. But man, what a great late Cage movie. You know, if you want to see something that's just going to be like hard hitting and depressing, you want to see a movie about a cop with substance abuse issues, tap Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. not really a sequel to the original Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel in it. Really stands on its own, and Nicolas Cage is a powerhouse in it. So believe that. My bottom three are have been mentioned previously. Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, which is the second Ghost Rider movie, and the first one would be worse if the second one didn't feel like you were stuck inside of a seizure. It's like that's what it feels like to be inside of a seizure is Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. It's the only movie I've ever watched where I had to look away from the screen down at the floor for extended periods of time just to avoid nausea. My second one, probably a controversial pick because for most people maybe it's just like bland and forgettable, but that's probably the reason I hate it so much, and it's National Treasure.
Yeah.
That was almost on my list.
I don't think he is an Indiana Jones worthy action hero in this regard. Nope. National Treasure is a stupid fucking movie, folks. And then my number one pick is 8mm, which Leslie, don't go back. Just hold on to your memory, keep it with you, and let it go because
bad.
It's real bad.
Oh,
and I would not put The Wicker Man on this list because it's one of those movies that I derive an immense amount of pleasure from.
All right, the last question that was submitted to us comes from Melissa Boris, a woman who's just too good for this world. She said, give me 3 on-screen parties you would attend, mingle with the fictional characters, and watch the events unfold. Hers are Colin and Amaranta's wedding from Crazy Rich Asians. She says this event makes a Jay Gatsby party look like a clam bake. Sterling Cooper's office party in Mad Men Season 4. Guy walks into an advertising agency. And she said any office party with a John Deere riding mower and alcohol is worth seeing in person. And her third one is Tony's party in Age of Ultron. Seems like one of the few quiet moments when the Avengers are all getting along.
Thanks for taking all the good ones.
Right? Right? I'll go first. I will caveat by saying I am going to bet early that one of Jermon's picks is House Party.
Yeah.
We will see. We'll see.
That's what I thought too. That's why I didn't pick it.
That's why I didn't pick it. Unfortunately, my first one is her third one, the Tony's party in Age of Ultron. That just seemed like a fun fucking time, hanging out with superheroes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., World War II vets, spies. You don't know what's going to pop off.
Minus the getting attacked by Ultron bots. That was a pretty fun party.
Nope, I'm here for all of it. I want all of it because that's my trial out period to get onto the Avengers.
You're just like, oh shit, a murder bot.
You see Cap and the rest of them getting ready with the shield and all these weapons and stuff, and like Daryl just breaks a beer bottle against them.
Come on. He pulled out brass knuckles against a robot. What did you think that was? My number 2 is she demeaned it in hers, but the Gatsby party and the Baz Luhrmann's Great Gatsby, because that shit looks wild and fun. And it's got Jay-Z playing for some reason. But I'm trying to see what No Church in the Wild is all about, hanging out with the Gatsby peoples. Yeah, so it's stylized fun is definitely what that is. And my third one is the end of Waiting, the house party that they attend at the end of Waiting. Because I submit that no one throws a house party better than restaurant or bar wait staff after they've gotten off work at 2:00 in the morning. Those are some of the
Yes.
Those are some of
the
best house parties that I've ever been to. And that one looks like it's pretty much fun because the entire cast of the movie was there. That goofy kid, Mitch, hits him with the goat at the very end. That's a legendary moment in the movie. All that kind of good shit. I would definitely want to hang out at that house party. So those are my 3. Leslie, what are your 3?
So for my first, I went with Bilbo Baggins' birthday party at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. It would be so much fun. There would be hobbits and Gandalf, and it's before everything goes to shit. You get tons of good food, all the fireworks. It would be awesome. Second one is the same as yours. I would also go to the Jay Gatsby party because, like you said, it looks fucking amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, it would be so. I would feel so very glamorous, and like tons of confetti and glitter and sparkly things. Like, how would that not be good? And then third, I went with not the fancy dinner party on the Titanic, but the after party that Jack and Rose sneak off to down in the
boiler room or whatever.
Everyone's fucking drunk as hell and having fun.
The Irish party, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a damn good call.
Yeah.
All
That is
right.
what I would do.
All right, I agree with all three of these. Mr. Martin, what do you got there, sir?
I would go with the Ewok party from the end of Return of the Jedi because I mean it's all outdoors and I'm not really big on outdoors, but like I bet those little shits know how to grill some meat. You saw what they did to Harrison Ford. You know, they were ready to grill him up. So I
Just
bet
don't ask who you're eating.
the food is probably pretty good. It's probably mostly stormtroopers. The next one is Connie and Carlo's wedding from The Godfather. Because I feel like the food there would also be really good. Yeah. And I might be able to, you know, maybe sort of rub elbows with the right people.
Curry some favors.
At that one. And my third pick, not the Jay Gatsby party, but it is the opening, I'm going to say 20 minutes of Moulin Rouge. Also Baz Luhrmann.
Damn it, yeah.
Like a frenetic, I said like seizure, like a seizure. It's like a living seizure, like Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Only this one makes more sense because it's fueled by absinthe. And I would be very into that. And it's just a wild cacophony of madness.
I can't.
Those are my three.
I fucking love that movie. I can't believe I forgot. Man. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
All righty then. That leaves you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Yes, my first pick. I also picked the indoor celebration in Return of the Jedi. Man,
y'all just want to bang on some stormtrooper helmets like xylophones. That's what y'all want.
I mean, I'm just like
good
the
music,
Empire
good
just
food.
fell down. I'm getting pimp tips from Lando Calrissian. We're just having a good time eating stormtroopers and stuff. Just
blue milk, it gets them every time.
Yes, it's just a good time. My second pick, I did pick Play's Party from House Party. That was jam. That was the jam, man. They had broke out into dance battles, rap battles, and like, oh my God, that had to be the party of the year in that high school. It
had to have been. That's the party they talked about for the rest of the year.
It had to, easy.
And all it did was clown people who missed the party for whatever reason.
Yes, like full force. They got clowned the whole time because they couldn't make it into the party. They tried to rush their way in, couldn't make it in. Oh my God! And then my third pick, James Franco's party, and This Is the End. Like okay. I would be around. I'd be there with my camera phone the entire time, just like taping, like getting video footage of a coked out Mike Sarah, just like kicking it with Rihanna and stuff. Oh my goodness, Craig Robinson, like that was the ultimate party.
All right, these are.
I want to dive in real quick and just say that if Pete Lentz were here, he would say, "How'd you all not mention the Delta House party in Animal House?"
That's exactly what he would say.
Was there a party in Porky's anywhere? Titties.
That reminds me, I do plan on reaching out to see if he would like to be a guest on one of these Choose Our Own Adventures.
Oh man.
Yes. Choose our own Pete Venture.
Choose your own Pete Lentz.
I briefly did think about the opening wedding ceremony in Coming to America. That was off the hook. that is a pretty good one. You would have got some good dance numbers out of it. Oh, yeah. You would have got your boys singing. Yeah, the food spread was amazing.
Quick question for you. They changed the music, John Williams did, from the original and the special editions for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
For you, Pete, and you, Jermon, which... And did you choose it
Isn't
too, Leslie?
actually in this
Oh,
episode.
I mean, yeah, Brian and Jermon. And did you didn't choose Return of the Jedi, did you, Leslie?
No, I did not.
All right, then for you, Brian, you, Jermon, what musical ending are you going with, the original one or the remake?
I have to go with the original. Man. I loved that was the main thing I think I remembered from watching Return of the Jedi back in the days, like that final scene with that song or whatever.
Right on, right
It's the
on.
correct choice.
I disagree.
Pete, I think Pete and I talked about this on the Star Wars when we did the Star Wars podcast last December or whenever it was, right? Because we weren't Pete and I on that one, and we had a disagreement about this because I prefer I prefer the special edition version just because it adds a little more gravitas on a galaxy-wide perspective. As the Ewok house party goes, if I'm attending that Ewok house party, I expect to hear Yub Nub.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm physically there, Yub Nub is playing. And I understand that, there's a difference between, incidental music and score music and stuff, and that the Rebels in the special edition probably still hear Yub Nub all around them.
Yeah, they did
But we, the audience, don't. And I feel like it's better on a galactic scale, but I'll jam out to some Yub Nub.
Because I'm gonna be obnoxious as fuck at the Ewok celebration. I was like, play that Yub Nub again. Just, you see my skeleton in some glasses. Just sitting around.
Yub Nub is their free bird.
Right on.
I can get behind that.
All right then, and a bonus question that I just put out to Paprikans to wrap this whole bit of business up. Josh Goofy fucking Gad has managed to, during this pandemic, in this time of quarantine and isolation, Zoom, which we're recording on as we speak, has become a tool for people to get together virtually. And his goofy ass has managed to unite casts of Back to the Future, Goonies, and Lord of the Rings on Zoom calls. Now, if you could unite one cast via Zoom to hang out and chat, who would it be? Jermon, you seem to get yours pretty quick, so who are you going with?
This is actually going in with another of my answers. The cast from This Is the End, like getting Rogan and Danny McBride and James Franco and all those guys together, Jonah Hill, it would literally be a session of them for a couple hours just shooting the shit constantly.
All right, would Jay Baruchel also be there?
Sure, just throw him in. Why not? you need a straight man somewhere.
You need a straight man somewhere. All right, then. Right on. I'm going to go with the cast of the View Askew-niverse.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm getting together Smith and Muse, Affleck, Jason Lee, Joey Lord Adams. Dougherty's mic's going to be on mute most of the time. You Walt Mosier, Scott Mosier, Walt Flanagan, all those guys are going to be who I and of course O'Halloran and Jason, Jeff Anderson. Thank you. Yeah, that's who's going to be my Zoom call. Brian, who are you going with?
I'm going with the cast of The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy. Going to get all of them together. Of course, Paul Gleason died a few years ago, I guess, but so he's not going to be there. But I would get that group back together because I think there's lingering desire in all of us to see more, to see what happened the next day. None of us really want to know what hhappened the next day because the likelihood is that all of these kids went back to their respective cliques and never spoke to one another again. But I think that group is such an iconic group, and I would love to just get them together and talk. Anthony Michael Hall is delightful to speak with in person, and I have to believe Molly Ringwald and Ali Sheedy are also very delightful. And Emilio Estevez, I just like to see Emilio Estevez. What is he even fucking doing?
He's doing Mighty Ducks for Disney Plus.
Really?
You didn't know that?
He'll definitely
Wait, that's
come
a
in
thing?
and do this.
Yes, that's a thing. Did y'all not know that? Yeah.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been watching a
he's-
lot of Disney Plus, and I did not know that.
Yeah, that news broke a couple months back. He's doing something
Oh.
duck related for Disney Plus.
Okay,
I just watched a
good for him.
I just watched a video on YouTube, kind of where are they now, typed in for the Breakfast Club. I didn't know Ali Sheedy. Apparently, she had a bit part in one of the X-Men movies.
What?
Really?
Like she was a school teacher or something like that.
Was she Jubilee? Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm sorry to inform you, Brian, that Judd Nelson will not be joining you because he'll be with my Viewers Universe guys. We'll be talking about Jay and Bob.
Bastard.
And Leslie, to close this all out, ma'am, what? It's all on you now. You have to come up with the hardest answer. What cast are you going with?
Well, now I'm a little ashamed. No, I went with the cast of the original X-Men movie in 2000. I'd like to get that you have there
Justice
goes
for
Mike.
James Marsden.
You've got James Marsden, all kinds of everybody, and I'm completely drawing a blank right now.
You got Famke Janssen.
Famke Janssen
Halle
in there.
Berry.
You got a little guy called Hugh Jackman. May heard of him.
Huge Jackman. You got
Pat
Patrick
Stew.
Stewart,
Yeah.
Ian McKellen, Ray Park. That guy who played Sabretooth.
Oh, Tyler Mane.
Tyler Mane.
Tyler Mane.
So honestly, what I'm going to do is just get all those guys together, mute everybody but Pat Stew and McKellen, and just let them talk.
That's it. That's
No,
really it.
I'm gonna go into a private chat with Hallie.
You gotta get Anna Paquin in there too. I loved
Yeah.
Rogue back in the day.
Mhm.
Now, why the X-Men cast? That's an interesting choice for you.
I don't know. It was just what popped into my head. Well, my
It's a
first
great
thought
cast.
actually was the Buffy actors from the TV show. But going with movies, yeah, X-Men just kind of popped in. You don't have all the original actors from Star Wars. They've already done Goonies. Princess Bride has been done fairly recently.
Good call.
So it was just like, well, what's an ensemble cast? I figured you would go with, honestly, I figured you'd go with Ocean's 11.
Surprise.
So I didn't go. That would have been my other choice.
I feel like
You
the
also
Ocean's-
don't want the Buffy cast because you don't want Nicholas Brandon joining in at this point. Just trust me on that.
This
Yeah,
is true. He's
a
kind
little
of not.
problematic.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Get around that by keeping Allison Hannigan's husband.
Jason Segel.
No, her actual husband.
Yeah.
Alexis something. Denisoff? Alexis Denisoff. I think.
Oh, really? She's married to that guy?
Yeah, they have kids.
Damn.
A backup choice for me also would have been, obviously, the cast of Serenity.
Yes. Have you guys watched that? I think it was a 20th anniversary or a 25th anniversary panel thing that they did.
Yes.
I cried.
Ghostbusters would have been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, we don't have Harold Ramis, but
You just would have had a jar of fungus, a jar of mold, and a jar of spores. And I think that could have. So quick around the horn, Javon, what you been geeking out on lately?
I've kind of been getting back into gaming a little bit. I started playing NBA 2K20, and I realized I am garbage in that.
Yep, that's the only reason I haven't picked up any NBA game lately because I know I'm garbage. It's gonna
That
take a
game
while.
has gotten way too realistic, man. It's like to the point like I created a player and made him so good I couldn't afford to sign him to my team. I had to wait. I had to go through 3 seasons, like the fast forward through 3 seasons, and then had to have the league vote to abolish the salary cap just to be able to buy a player.
All right,
You played yourself.
Literally.
Nicely done, Brian. What are you geeking out on?
I have been catching up on Fargo, watching Fargo season 3 in advance of the season 4 that may or may not happen this year. We'll see, because I have every reason to believe Fargo season 4 will be my favorite single season of television ever.
Was that going to be the Chris Rock season?
That's the Chris Rock season. Fargo season 3 is very, very good though. It's probably the weakest of the 3 seasons, but that's on the Fargo scale, and that still places it high above most other TV shows. Ewan McGregor plays 2 characters in it. David Thewlis is just wonderfully gnarly as the villain.
That limp chin
Mary
bastard.
Elizabeth Winstead is terrific. And Ray Wise shows up, and he's a national treasure. So I really, really am enjoying Fargo season 3.
Right on. Leslie, what are you geeking out on?
I recently binged season 2 of Dead to Me. Christina Applegate and oh no, I forget her name.
Linda Cardellini.
Linda Cardellini.
Yeah, Linda Cardellini.
Her fine self.
It is a dramedy, really. It's fucking hilarious. Some of the scenes get very fucking raw. It is over the top. And the season finale, no spoilers, set it up for a just as over the top season 3 if it gets renewed.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I watched the first season and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, how do you top that?
I feel like they ended it in such a way that season 3 is set up, but if it doesn't move forward, it's okay.
Okay. The backdoor finale.
Hopefully not, but yeah.
And I, for the last time on this fucking show, am going through the Bendis Avengers run. I did the math on this. It is exactly 230 comics is what I've gone through. Well, I think I currently am at like 224. So by the time we get another one of these, it took me 2 years, but I am finally through the Brian Michael Bendis Avengers era run, and I am taking a far, far well-removed vacation away from superheroes when this is all said and done. It's going to be a while before I read a Capes and Tights book, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it has been a ride for me. It started out ridiculously strong. It ended great. But man, it started out on some wild shit. But if you have some spare bucks, it's Marvel BOGO going on right now this week. 2 for $1, I do believe.
Or you can have a Marvel Unlimited subscription and probably just read all of it that way.
Or you can have a Marvel Unlimited subscription. If you do, just go ahead and dip your toes into that Brian Michael Avengers, New Avengers, and Avengers run all the way through. And if you got some good steam, man, you might as well just roll right into the Hickman New Avengers, the Avengers run too. But that's a different story for a different day, and that's a different podcast. We are done with this one right here, the May episode of Choose Our Own Adventure. We'll be back sometime next month. Until then, thanks for listening, and you guys take it easy.